Something interesting is happening right now. The manosphere is exploding. And after watching the recent documentary with Louis Theroux and the BBC, while left-leaning, I actually understand why. For the first time in a long time, young men are being told to be strong. Have boundaries, stop being pushovers, build discipline, build purpose. And honestly, a lot of that is actually right. But what starts as self-improvement slowly turns into dominance, status chasing, and a distorted version of masculinity. So why in the first place are men drawn to the manosphere? The strong opinions like Andrew Tate, the Logan Paul brothers, the more outlandish opinions, the people who lead the narrative per se. My thesis is that there is more fatherlessness than ever. Stats say that 1 in 4 children grow up without a father figure in the household. That it's nearly doubled since 1960. And that stat in and of itself means there's a chasm of a role model boys seek, or adolescents seek, or even young adults seek. And so in the chaos of not having a comfortable, secure role model growing up, we always lean to an alternative. Respect is harder to earn today. And funnily enough, we are confused because society pushes a softness for men to be emotionally intelligent, do as I say, be super kind to me, when at the same time it's confusing. Because women then want guys that can take lead, can take ownership, can take responsibility, and be decisive. And in being those things, sometimes the softness of your edges need to be rough and tough. So it's a real confusing seesaw we're in. And sometimes the loudest personas in the room and the most radical messages accrue that. Think Hitler in World War II and Winston Churchill, who got voted into power during World War II. The most dominant, decisive leaders tend to vote. They're voted into power purely because when we're in a state of uncertainty, chaos, and need that directive, we go for the strongest voice and the strongest backbone. And that in today's society is the fringes, because we have an echo chamber now of the most radical content being fed to our algorithms. Now, here's a quick clip from that documentary I'd love to watch. And
what would you say is the message?
I coach boys how to be fucking boys, how to make money, how to be outside the system, how to not have a boss telling you what to do. I teach guys to be proper guys, not these little soy boys, gimps that walk around in the modern day.
He's got a point, right? Like, this is why we're drawn to it. Fundamentally, there can be dysfunction when we're too soft. You see what I mean? Women want you to man up. They want you to take directive. They want you to play a role which is useful. She wants a man to correct things that have been broken or rules have been broken. Your own sacred garden needs protected, and as form of a monster or some back push against something that's encroaching on something you must protect, whether that's family, your wife, your partner. And again, that's why a healthy relationship's super important, to be a high value good guy, because if your partner's just trying to test you and see your dominance amongst other men, like, oh, can you win in an arm wrestle, then that's trivial, it's not important. But if your wife really wants to protect the family or move you in the right direction in all the right ways, then you've got a good, true compass to protect. That's why the Bible, Jesus, and Christianity and God can help you with that as well. But we are needing a navigational system that keeps us aligned. This new identity he's throwing it's something to get attached to. It's easy to say no. When we have a sense of identity and a value system, especially this one, it's quite binary. It's black and white. It's easy. It's not complex, because identities can get complex, but it's giving you an easy get out of jail free card if you have a hard life that you're not being seen. He also surprisingly gets this right. Like, all the things he's saying, building businesses, going to the gym, building that muscle. It's a sense of delaying gratification. It's a mission focus. Being a good guy is all about breathing presence for men, safety for women. That women know if you're in a public setting like the underground train, for example, they know if there's any threat, they sense you as a safe man that would stand up and is capable of standing up for them. You aren't an anxious present looking at your shoes or making them feel anxious. You're very calm and have a grounded sense of demeanor. And this guy holds that. Like in this Louis Theroux documentary with BBC and big cameras in his house, he's able to hold a good ground. And to me, that's, again, quite seductive. And just see that confidence. Where it gets it right is that there is a validation of boundaries, right? You're not responding to everyone. And whether these men are portrayed in that same light is that these things aren't inherently toxic, which the manosphere present. They're super healthy masculine traits, having that competency of leadership, leading in your domain and creating a community But it's being the right example now, and this is where it's going to probably get exposed.
He admits it out loud on camera. He's not here to understand the manosphere. He's here to explore the edges, the extremes, the controversial content creators. And then he named the documentary Inside the Manosphere.
This documentary shows the extremes, but most men, generally speaking, aren't drawn to those extremes. They're actually drawn to structure underneath, the certainty, as we said earlier. And this is where things typically shift. We look for the most charismatic, the most seductive archetypes to lead us. But we typically don't follow the most purposeful. They don't lead with purpose. They lead with a pantomime, and their charisma is mistaken for wisdom. If we are really insecure about who we are and we wear those masks adopted by other people, then when the going gets tough and there's competitiveness and there's banter, you really don't know who you are. And so you just get knocked down pegs and pegs and pegs and pegs lower down the dominance hierarchy because you're playing that game. You could have sidestepped the whole dominance hierarchy instinctively because this is the instinctual way of being. And you could have sidestepped and not played that game, but you did. And so when you do, you're naturally engaging with dysfunctional leadership, dysfunctional culture, and then now you're creating an even lower level of value in the value hierarchy. And you're playing a game you should have never signed up for, and you're losing bloody points. Your hit points are like -1 down there. And I used to feel that until true friends that came in later in life were affirming great attributes about myself, and my wife now coming into my life just reaffirming good traits about me with birthday cards and affirmations. You start to really realize, oh yeah, that is me. But they never used to see it. And the reason why they didn't ever see it, because it was maybe a threat to their own self-reputation and self-preservation. Now we see that game, we have to forgive it, but sidestep it. And again, like I say, when it comes to these influencers, we must detoxify them. Click not interested on a social media feed. Remove ourselves from anything that's emotionally dysfunctional. Wear those personas just to protect yourself, because you can now set boundaries in a healthy way, and we'll get to that later. But what I see is that infamy is easier than virtue. It's easier to be infamous than famous. It's a lot harder to be naturally famous. Men, like myself, we find the first thing that arises for us sometimes, if we don't have that discipline, willpower, strength. And if you're so weak and confused or fatigued, if you're so hard done by, like, I'm done with life, you find the easiest thing, give me that chocolate cake. And that chocolate cake is one with the cream and looks glamorous on the outside. That's exactly what these charismatic types will do.
Hey, did you film up there? Were you filming? When we were just fucking pulling things and fucking moving mad, mate.
He's performative, right? He's using all these colloquialisms to live in that state of stupid, isn't it? Stupid things, moving mad. This is all colloquial for his streaming, of course.
What were you doing, bruv?
We were looking for you.
How? I had my maps on. Alright, well, just follow me, stay behind and get your shit. Because we're on live right now. Okay. Have you got anything to say to the live, Daru?
Not really.
Go on, say something, mate. Give me some content.
What are you on? What platform?
I'm on Kick, I'm on YouTube right now.
And what's the plan for this evening?
Mate, the plan is, which you're gonna see, I just walk up and down and just, mate, just get numb, wet, mate, that's what I do.
Have you let Harris know the police are looking for him?
Derogatory in it. He's clipped that bit.
What? Oh, Harris, Louis needs to tell you.
You know, you assaulted someone on camera earlier.
Did I?
Yeah.
I thought I was edited. Honestly, what?
See that look over to his leader at that very moment. He's looking for approval, and it's the Batman to Robin. Batman, this kind of big guy, but he's very confident in his way of speaking. You see that demeanor whenever he talks. It's full of nothing, but nothing can be caked up and flowered up to be presented as something. And it's solid enough for someone who's confused and looking for a leader, and sadly fallen into this guy's harem.
What have you got to say, though? What did you say?
What happened?
Did you involve the police?
He called the police.
You snitched?
Well, I did my civic duty, yes. Are you married?
No. I'm gonna get a lot of smoke for this. I always do. Everybody gets mad at me when they ask me about my relationship.
Are you saying you're not in a monogamous relationship?
One-sided monogamy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Women don't want to sleep with other men when they love a man.
One-sided monogamy means what?
It means like, see, here we go. Here we go.
Mr. Laws of Power. He's read the seductive laws of power, as they do. This is where the manosphere goes a bit wrong. They are using seduction as a means to power. You'll see he, in the documentary, has people who admire him. But you can tell that those guys don't really have, they're a shell of themselves. They really have potentially really strong father figures who are making them feel confident about themselves and give them autonomy and not live through something like this caricature. Crazy enough, the top 20% of men account for around 60% of sexual relationships in some modern data sets, meaning the top of the hierarchy always wins, why we gravitate as men towards it. Meanwhile, about 30% of young men report no sex in the past year, up sharply from 10% in the early 2000s. So we're becoming even more disconnected, even more divided, and no wonder he's stacking the odds in his favour to have all of those opportunities, because again, it's an instinctive, sensual, experiential place to be, sex, isn't it? While it should be sacred and very much gated community towards your own relationship, there is that law of power of manipulation, the idea, and I've seen this in another book I used to like, but it's now New Age, but The Way of the Superior Man. Something about the book said, don't ejaculate when you're having sex. And the reality is that you don't want to be seen or perceived as weak. It's performative, right? Your woman needs to see that you have willpower and you can delay gratification and that you are not going to give in. Simply put, it's a little bit the same manner. I don't want to twist the guy's words because he might be coming from a good instinct and good intent, but the reality is there is a law of power here, through power dynamics, through seductive charisma, through that disguised confidence, that manipulation of control, we feel secure as men. And it can be super dangerous. Dominance isn't masculinity, it's control. And that's not true masculinity. And getting to the end of this, the age-old question, what do men actually need? Now, I love the book by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. And it's a beautiful book about logotherapy. Those who went through the Holocaust, who had seen the horrific atmosphere around them, people starving to death, having the idea of delusion of reprieve, where they were given a carrot to get out at a certain date, but then that was snatched away from them last minute, and they had to just be helpless and hopeless, and that was all psychological warfare inside the system. And those that survived knew they had a wife, kids, and something worthwhile to get home to. That's purpose. And typically it's women and kids for men, and faith and God. The top three things. Nothing more really beats that. Family, maybe, dogs, and friends to some extent. That'll be tier 2. But the tier 1 meaning, your own kids, your wife, and the Lord, which navigates you. We need meaning in our life. We need a form of responsibility. There's an element of sacrifice that the manosphere don't really talk about. Yeah, and things like go and work out at the gym, go push iron, go launch the business, but when it becomes toxic is relationally. And as I've just said, those two things are inherently relational. Also, there's nothing spiritual in the manosphere too much. There's nothing greater than us. We become the thing that's great. Yeah, that's kind of nice. It's a nice analogy, but there is something that's steering us beyond our little selves. But if the manosphere isn't teaching relational norms or emotional intelligence or a good means to be, then we must find that in Jesus Christ, who is a perfect human being. Humans were flawed inherently, so we can't chase each other for leadership as we do with the influencers online. It's not possible. But we live through sacrifices, and sacrificing quick gratification, validation, working hard towards something that's bettering your family and your little tribe. And if you haven't got that yet, making the decisions to be the man that then has those things, and you'll get there. And we need a structure beyond our ego. We get in our own ways instinctively. We let our lust win sometimes. Even when we have a beautiful life around us, sometimes we want to sabotage that sometimes. It gets better and better over time. I honestly think my saboteur brain was way worse back in the day before my kid and wife was around. But now I've got a stabilizer, someone who makes my attachment system more secure, a stable income. It's extremely important to allow your nervous system not to blow everything out of proportion. And you only know that if you know who you are and why you're doing it, and thanking and being grateful for something beyond who you are. It's not you. You're co-creating with God. It's all about being grounded, not loud, not performative. Masculinity is quiet. You don't scream and shout from a social media page about whether you're masculine. The more people say that they're masculine or they're a high-value man or a real man, it doesn't exist. I think that those that are most respected are the most quiet, and those that are the most charitable are doing it in silence. They don't want to publicize that. And that's why we need to get very clear on our mission and satisfied with our own little experience of giving. rather than it be a big performance and a clap from an audience. And when I was most depressed, the thing that got me out of depression was giving. I remember volunteering at the Alzheimer's Society. Real masculinity is quieter than the manosphere makes it seem. Men are drawn to the manosphere because it offers structure. But structure without wisdom becomes distortion. Men don't need dominance. They need purpose. Comment below if there's any taboo topics in the male space you want me to talk about next. And again, thanks for watching, and I appreciate you being around on the channel. Take care.